In today's Leeds news, Gnonto and Tanaka narrative doesn't stack up. Liverpool made Bogle Enquiry. Ampadu's long-term replacement is in the academy, and success created in training. Morning folks, Jerry here with your news for Tuesday the 17th of February. Hope you're all having a good week so far and your day is going well. It's a little bit of stuff to get stuck into today. Some insight into what's going on around the club right now, which is always a nice break from transfer stories and catastrophes that might be happening. We've got Norwich City in the next round of the FA Cup, which is great to see. A home draw finally for Leeds as well. So very much something Leeds can progress through. Fingers crossed, all going well. Slightly better performance than against Birmingham, and then maybe we'll see where we go. Just a quick one to let you know, we have an Instagram page as well, the Leeds View over on Instagram. We're sharing statistics that Andrew Stats-Dalton supplies to us over there, as well as match ratings for players, truth analysis, and we will have questions and quiz questions of the day over there. If you want to go follow us, we're trying to get that off the ground and grow that as much as we can. Very different content to what we normally put here, but there will be some links and short bits over there as well. If you want to go find us there and check that out, you can. And obviously there is a 8% discount on OK jerseys if you want to use the code down below to get your World Cup shirts heading into a World Cup summer. There we go. That's all the contractual obligation stuff out of the way. We'll get stuck on it and we'll start up the news, and we'll start about Willie Gnonto and Tanaka narrative or debate that's going on right now. Willie Gnonto and Tanaka both had a rare start for Leeds at the weekend in the Cup, and they may have to wait until the next round of the Cup if they want to get another start if results continue to go the way they are on the pitch for Leeds right now. But it is worth discussing the current sentiment that a portion of the fan base have been expressed, and it's been talked a bit about online over the last couple of days. There are those who believe that Willie Gnonto and Tanaka have potentially had their wings clipped a little bit by Daniel Farke, and that their performance against Birmingham at the weekend was a reflection of the fact that they haven't been getting more minutes off the bench so far this season. To be clear on this, I'm a big fan of Tanaka. Those who know me know I love the player. I think he's fantastic. And Willie Gnonto, to be very fair on this situation, is still just 22 years of age. He started 6 games for Leeds this season, has played 17 times overall, and that's probably about right for a 22-year-old in the Premier League. Now, we obviously have a different opinion on that because he started life at Leeds a lot younger and had Premier League games under his belt at a much younger age. Graham Smith in the Yorkshire Evening Post has been speaking with the Square Ball about this as well, and the conversation around this narrative or this debate came up, and he had the following to say on it. I don't know if I can buy this Farke killed Tanaka and Gnonto narrative that has been sprung up. Farke sees them in training every single day, but he sees Tanaka competing against Ampadu, Stack and Longstaff, and if he's not getting the better of them, then he's not going to get into the starting lineup. Nobody was saying in the wins he should have brought Tanaka on for longer, or he should have given Gnonto more of a run out, because that isn't how it works. He does what he thinks it will take to win a game. I think the main part of this is the logical part of this, which is Daniel Farke sees these players in training every single day of the week, and to Graham Smith's point, if Tanaka's not getting the better of Ethan Ampadu, then he's unlikely to get into the starting lineup. And Leeds do have quite a lot of options in midfield. We're not playing with out-and-out wingers either right now, so that makes it more difficult for Willie Gnonto. He has played as a tenor in behind a striker for Italy, so there's that option there as well. And I think there is probably some credence to the fact that if they are getting more minutes off the bench, then they would be better when they're called upon. It is something Leeds need to look at, but do I think it's completely taken away from their ability? No, I don't. But I think the main point does stand up here. And now Tanaka is definitely one of those players. The more Tanaka plays, the better he gets. And our gripes with Daniel Farke will always be the same. Substitutions, timing of substitutions, and that's always very high on the list of gripes. But that's how Daniel Farke manages the side. And again, right now, the results on the pitch are far more important than any individual player. Would both of their displays have been better against Birmingham if they'd been coming off the bench on a regular basis? Yeah, probably they would have been. But as long as Leeds United are picking up points and are doing what they need to do to stay in the Premier League and advance in the FA Cup, does it really matter which players are on the park? I think I always say it. The badge on the front of the shirt is far more important than any name on the back of the shirt. But they do need to play. They do need to get minutes if they are going to be helpful for Leeds United in this running. But I do think both players will have a part to play in the running, and I do think both players will contribute in the back end of the season. The games that are coming up are far more likely to see them play, as Daniel Farke will likely maybe more of an attacking focus on games like Burnley, Wolves, West Ham. Games that Leeds will need to win more so than get a single point in. So for me, there's still plenty of time for them. It is a squad game after all. Leeds need depth. And right now, the midfield and the attack are doing their job. They're scoring goals and they win their battles. So for right now, it's just part of a squad, isn't it? Let's move on. Strange one that popped up today. We all know the 49ers like to do things quietly, but this story never really popped up over the course of the January transfer window. We heard rumours in January that Everton might be interested in Jayden Bogle. They may have even inquired about him, but the story around that time was that it would be likely something that Everton would revisit in the summer, and only if Leeds United end up getting relegated from the Premier League. But according to the Anfield Index, they believe that Liverpool not only had interest in Jayden Bogle, but made an inquiry about him as well during the winter window. Now, they say that Liverpool had injuries to Conor Bradley and to Jeremy Frimpong, and at that point, that made them speak internally about a replacement or another option. And Jayden Bogle's name was one of the names that came up, and they went as far as to inquire with Leeds United about a potential move for the fullback. They said the approach was very much a situational approach and won't likely be revisited in the summer. Bogle was said to have fit an awful lot of the criteria that Arne Slot likes and wants to have in his side, but at the time it was because of Frimpong and Bradley's injuries. They're both going to be fine during the summer and likely available for the start of the season, which means they probably won't make a move for Jayden Bogle again. It's an interesting one, as the key part of this was it describes the approach as a serious approach. I'm not sure what the difference between a serious and unserious approach is for a player, but Bogle's been getting an awful lot of credit in recent weeks and months. He's been getting better and better and better as the season's gone on. The talk about him even potentially getting a call up to the England side as well is proof that his performances this season have been very, very strong. So it's not surprising that clubs would start to keep an eye on what he is doing and maybe make an approach for him. But he's been brilliant for Leeds. He's very important to how Daniel Farke plays now. This Leeds side ticks. He is a player I think Leeds fans, and myself included, would definitely like to see stay at the club for a lot longer than he is right now. But it is interesting to keep an eye on those little ones, these bigger, in inverted commas, sides looking to pick off our best players. Talk about a potential long-term replacement for Ethan Ampadu. The Leeds Academy is always a topic of discussion, and it is something we're going to talk about an awful lot more this week. We'll have Jerry McDermott on the podcast on Thursday night to have a deeper look at the Leeds United Academy. But some of the questions that always pop up around the Leeds United Academy are, when's the next breakout star happening, and why don't we produce more players than we currently do? Sam Alker at the moment with the Leeds United under 18s is definitely one to keep an eye on. He's a very talented young number 10. And the under 21s have a couple of very young talents, as well as the players that are currently all out on loan. Leeds have Ollie Pickles, central midfield attacking player, can also play in fullback areas. Very good young talent there as well. Sam Chambers, Reece Chadwick, both have been involved with the Leeds United first team. And Jake Howard is a defender described as potentially something similar to Jonathan Woodgate. He's only 16 years of age, so there's a player there to keep an eye on already. But we will have a closer look at those players towards the back end of the week and more detail on them. But there is one player that's probably closer to the Leeds United first team right now, who is being seen as a potential long-term replacement for Ethan Ampadu should anything happen, should the player move on, or should just the natural succession of things occur. And that is Alfie Creswell. Alfie started life at Leeds in a similar position to his brother Charlie, a centre-back, but he doesn't have the height that Charlie has, or even his father Richard has. So Leeds made the decision to change his position and have pushed him into a central defensive midfield role, where he has been absolutely fantastic since he's gone into that position and made a real impact with the under-21s. Creswell's physicality and passing range are seen as the two key attributes that are being used when comparing him to the likes of Ethan Ampadu, and they line up quite nicely when they put them side by side. Ampadu's got an 85.5% passing accuracy. Creswell has an 88.6% passing accuracy. Ampadu averages 42 passes per game, while Creswell clocks in with 44 per 90 minutes. And then on duels per 90, Ampadu 4.9, Creswell 5.9, and in clearances per 90, Ampadu averages 2.29, while Creswell clocks in with 1.96. Now we are comparing probably slightly apples and oranges here, just a little bit. You're talking about a Premier League level player versus a Premier League 2 under-21 player. But I suppose it is relative. The numbers are relative to the level that they're both playing at. And there are some similarities between the two. Central defensive midfielders with a passing ability are few and far between around world football right now. The ones that are available are very, very expensive. To have one that's potentially coming through the academy or being created at the academy is a really great option for Leeds United to have. Alfie currently has 2 years left on his Leeds United contract. He has been involved with the first team in training this season. Hasn't got the breakthrough just yet, but there is still time when he is young and he's getting used to that level. But he's been very, very good for the Leeds United under-21s so far this season in that midfield position. We'll do more on this, as I say, over the course of the week, have a deeper look at a certain group of players that names are floating around the place. And then Jerry will be in on Thursday to have a deeper look at some names that he has that I don't have, and a lot more detail, the younger age groups that Jerry be far more aware of than most of us. Let's move on. Let's talk about some training ground success. Lucas Nmecha spoke to the Yorkshire Post about what's gone into Leeds' recent success. And success is, again, a relative term when you look at what is expected from Leeds United this season. But Leeds have only lost 2 games since the beginning of December in a 13-game run. And Nmecha believes all of this has started on the training pitch. Nmecha picked up the January Goal of the Month award for his volley against Fulham and has settled to life quite well in Yorkshire. But he was speaking with the Yorkshire Post about what's gone into Leeds' relative success over the last couple of months, and he had this to say: "We train really hard, even the players who don't play as much. We're training 6-7 times a week. Sometimes we don't get a break and we're just working away. I think the atmosphere in the team is really good, and whenever people are called upon, like you saw on Sunday, they give their best. I'm doing my best. Whenever I'm called upon, I'm doing my bit, and I think I've shown that when I do get a chance, I normally put it away. I'm pleased. I'm obviously still growing physically, I would say, and I'm still not 100%, but I'm slowly getting there. There will always be comparisons between Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Lucas Nmecha because of the profile of striker that they are and some similar attributes between the two of them, but they do bring very different things to the table. Lucas Nmecha probably doesn't have the hold-up player linking ability that you get from Dominic Calvert-Lewin or even the aerial dominance, but what he does have is a finish, and he leads very few chances to put the ball in the back of the net that we've seen in the last couple of weeks. 4 of his last 5 shots have all found the back of the net, and it's very much a case of quality over quantity when it comes to Lucas Nmecha. I think what everyone wants to see, I know I definitely do, is both of them up front together. We saw it in the second half against Manchester City when Leeds' season turned around, and up front against Chelsea, which was probably Leeds' best performance of the season against one of those top sides when we absolutely battered Chelsea at Elland Road. It hasn't really happened much since then. Nmecha's had a couple of niggles and injuries. Dominic Calvert-Lewin was ill, so we haven't had both of them lined up at the right time. Maybe we're approaching that time right now, and it would be great to see. They complement each other quite well. Nmecha will run the channels, will get in behind, has pace. Calvert-Lewin does the link-up play and flick-ons quite well, and they do seem to look for each other and have a very good understanding between each other, and they seem to get on very well as well, which is a very important thing when it comes to two strikers or a potential striking partnership for any side, let alone in the Premier League. So it is an interesting one to keep an eye on. For me, that is our absolute best. Aronson in behind them. Sacrifice one of those midfielders. And I think looking at the games that are coming up for Leeds in the next couple of weeks and months, then maybe, again, like Tanaka and Gnonto, when we get to those games where Leeds will need to get 3 points in, the likes of Burnley, Wolves, West Ham, even Crystal Palace, Sunderland, Brentford at home, you might start seeing the two of them up front again. And Daniel Farke might just take the handbrake off a little bit and let this side go forward more and be more attack-minded. Keep an eye on it. There's not a huge amount left to go. We've got the podcast out tonight. Myself, Paul and Jerry will be having a little look back at the weekend and a look ahead to the weekend's game against Aston Villa. No watch along this weekend. I'm actually going to the Aston Villa game, so I won't be able to do one, but there will be a review out from in and around Birmingham at some point after that with my brother who's a Villa fan, so fingers crossed it goes well for us. Aside that, folks, have a great rest of your day. I'll talk to you later on this evening. Enjoy yourself. Bye.